What is the history of the Grayslake Cemetery?
The Grayslake Cemetery is located near the northeast corner of Lake Street and Belvedere Road and was deeded for the burial purposes by Lawrence and Marie Favor in 1863.
One of the community's earliest pioneers, Favor, came from Ohio to Grayslake in 1837. Favor's land holdings, some 400 acres, encompassed much of Grayslake.
There are up to 1,347 lots present and known in the Grayslake Cemetery. Favor, who died there in 1897, is buried in the cemetery. Some may wonder who and why many are buried at this cemetery.
In order to answer some curiosities about the cemetery, we needed to gather more research about the origins of the cemetery. In doing so, we interviewed Miss Cheryl Renahan from the Grayslake Historical Society.
I'm Charlotte Renahan, and you are in my home down here in the archives of the Grayslake Historical Society. I've heard that you want to learn about the Grayslake Cemetery. Now, someday I'll be buried there. No, I won't be buried there. I'll go to a different one, but maybe I can tell you some things about the Grayslake Cemetery. What would you like to know?
What first piqued your interest in the cemetery?
Let's see, that's a good question. What piqued my interest? Back in 1995, probably, getting prepared for Grayslake Centennial, the committee started to look at the cemetery, need cleaning. We started researching the names, and the interest just continued.
Okay. Do you know when the first burial was?
Not off the top of my head. It was from the 1840s, but that would be a reinterment. The land was deeded as a cemetery in the I think it's 1867, but I could be wrong. It's somewhere in that date.
And then do you know the last when?
It was just a couple of years ago, and it is a cremation.
Anyone famous buried at the Grayslake Cemetery?
They're all famous because they all contributed to the history of Grayslake. Grayslake's first village president is buried there. And as a joke, I will say you that the doctor who brought me into the world is buried there. So isn't that famous?
And before, like, the houses in Westlake were built around the cemetery, were they ever thinking of, like, expanding it?
And actually, it's the opposite.
Really?
This cemetery was once larger and went farther north, and then the cemetery was made smaller.
Then what did they do? Were, like, anybody buried there? So they just condensed the land that they weren't using? Okay.
In this Grayslake Cemetery, there happens to be a strong possibility that several Gold Star families are buried there today. If you don't know what a Gold Star family is, it is when a loved one of theirs was killed while serving on active duty.
Although there is no documentation of Gold Star veterans, it is a strong possibility that they are buried there due to the fact that there are over 20 veterans buried in the cemetery.
Tombs in some cemeteries are known to be very pricey due to location and time periods. Tombstones are inscriptions on a headstone recounting migration patterns of settlers. They can also announce their deaths from epidemics, childbirth, and the premature deaths of their children, probably from diseases that today are easily cured from a week of antibiotics.
Many of the tombs in the Grayslake Cemetery are known to be marked unknown. The ones that are clearly marked show that there was a variety of ages buried there, including one of the first settlers of Grayslake, children, veterans, families, babies, and stillborns. In fact, transients were even buried in wooden boxes in the northeast corner of the cemetery. This part is being known as Potter's Field.
Today, there are a few clubs that are made to help preserve the Grayslake Cemetery. One is the Grayslake Historical Society. Miss Renahan claims that they upkeep the cemetery, repaint all the fences, and replace the signs.
Today, the Grayslake Cemetery still holds as a very valuable resource to teach us about the continuous history of Grayslake.